At what point did ECW call you about joining the promotion?
I was already working for ECW in '88. I started with them once I signed with the Monster Factory, and we were good enough to do independent shows. Uh, Todd Gordon just so happened to hit us up, and he also found out that New Japan was interested in us. And there was no question about it. I mean, I don't know if you read his book, but he'll tell you he signed us immediately. You know what I mean? Once he knew we were going to Japan, like a lot of the other ECW guys, we're the Pitbulls or the ECW originals. It was Tri-State Wrestling Alliance when we got there. We were the second tag team to ever hold those tag team titles. Super Destroyers were the first, we were the second. Then later on, it turned into Eastern Championship Wrestling. I went to Japan, I came home, and I saw it on TV. And that's when I called Todd Gordon. I helped Sandman get in the business. I even called Sandman. I said, "When did you guys get on TV?" He's like, "Well, you're in Japan." I said, "No, I'm actually home. I got home. I had to get my knee fixed." And he's like, "Well, you better." I said, "Yeah." He said, "Come to the building." So I went to the building, met Paul Heyman, and that's all. I mean, I never left. It was just I left to go to Japan. I mean, I was still part of that company.
I think the history of ECW is so fascinating in that here's this independent promotion that gets this recognition and this following from so many people, and to this day, people still talk about it. No matter where you go, they're gonna remember uh, the Sandman and Tommy Dreamer and Rob Van Dam and yourself and all these people that really paved the way for what we see now in these companies in whether it is WWE or AEW or TNA and all these indies that you see nowadays. It's amazing to see what ECW really started and how it inspired, really generations of professional wrestlers and wrestling companies.
We have like a cult following. And you also got to remember if you saw the first one night stand,
Hmm.
okay, that was the night that the Attitude Era happened. That night. That's when all the Vince's guys were up in the stands with Bischoff, and they were watching us put on a show, and their jaws were on the ground because they could not believe the stuff we were doing. And then they sat back and said to themselves, "Oh shit, we're gonna have to step our game up because you heard that crowd. You know what I mean? Even when it went back to WWE, you still heard EC Dub, EC Dub, EC Dub. You're never going to stop hearing it. You know what I mean? And that's what's going to happen.
And I've talked to so many guys and girls that were a part of the locker room. There seemed to have been like this camaraderie with the talent there. Never before have you really have heard of companies having such just strong bonds and friendships. People still talk about that, a lot of
Because
times.
we weren't handed a script and said, do this just like this. No, Paul would pull us aside and say, "Okay, this is what I want to happen. Okay, in your own way, like you're trained. Okay, set it up, tell the story, get that story across, and do it." So he gave us an option, and we also had, we were able to put our 2 cents in the match. Do you see what I'm saying?
Hmm. Kind of
That's what
like
made it so special.
yeah, improvised. A lot of times, you guys kind of were able to kind of call the matches on the fly, really come up with different
Yeah.
things, and it just became this magical event, and people came every time.
Like if you want to see a great match, it was the number one match at the ECW arena in 1995. It was number two match in the world underneath Razor Ramon and the Heartbreak Kid. Shawn Michaels was number one. The Pitbulls versus Stevie Richards and Raven was number two, best out of three falls. Unbelievable match. Uh, if you want to watch that match, it's Gangster's Paradise. Check it out, man. It'll blow your mind how that match turned out.
And I think that ECW really kind of introduced uh, the US audience to a lot of different talent, a lot of different stars, like the Eddie Guerreros, the Rey Mysterios, the Psychosis and Super Crazies, all these guys, Jericho, um,
See,
all of them.
we were all from Japan and working for ECW. See, like I would go to Japan with Sabu, Jericho, Benoit, Eddie, Dean Malenko, and then I'd go back and work for ECW. So I didn't sign with Vince. I signed with New Japan. I just so happened to do that, which I should have did Vince for about a year or two. Then I should have went to New Japan.